Hello YouTube, Dave here again. I'm back with another pickup video as well as a little bit of an update on some things that I have planned to occupy my time while we're going through some isolation given the situation that's currently going on with the COVID-19 and everything. But first, before I get into that, I just will show off some of the things that I've picked up since the last pickup videos. Not a ton of things here, but still just enough that I feel like it's a good time to do the video. There is one more thing, well actually two things that I'm hoping to have within the next few days, because after that I don't know how long it'll take to get them, but I won't talk about those. If I get them, I can do videos on them later. So the first thing I want to show for pickup here is, so the first few things actually are comic related, D&D comic related. The first one is issue number 5 of A Darkened Wish. I gotta be honest, this series hasn't really been doing it for me. I haven't even read the 4th or this issue at all. I'm wondering if this is a to be continued, or because normally these series end with issue 4, so I'm just kind of wondering. I don't want to spoil too much. I just want to see here if we have. Okay, so it looks like this is the final issue, but they leave it ambiguous, just the way that the last panel is. It doesn't spoil the story, because I haven't read through it enough yet to understand the significance of that final scene. But overall, I'm not super into this series. If it does continue, or if they do start like another storyline, then I will probably not be picking it up. I don't know, there's just certain things about this one that I'm not a big fan of. The structure is kind of like, it just flips back and forth between time periods, and I guess that's fine, but I don't know, it just isn't connecting with me. So for those of you that are a fan of this, like I said, I don't think there's anything necessarily bad about it. It just doesn't gel with what I was looking for in these types of comics. So I'm hoping that there are people out there that have this series and absolutely love it. I do believe there is a live play, like Wizards of the Coast, like their streamers that do their D&D series. I think there was one actually called A Darkened Wish, so I suspect that that's probably connected to this. But I'm not huge on those gameplay videos in general, and I'm not huge on this particular series. But if this is the last issue, then at least I have the whole set, and I will hold on to it, and maybe, truthfully, you know, it may get more interesting to me as I read through it. At this point, I think I've only fully read through the first 2 issues, and then read a little bit of the 3rd before I kind of put it down and moved on. So there is a chance that, you know, I could be entirely wrong about this, so I will try to make sure that I read through the whole thing by, you know, over the course of the next few weeks, because we're gonna have time. One of the few benefits of this, like in our province, a state of emergency was actually declared, is that it's put a temporary stop to all the brickwork that's been going on outside of our apartment for the last 3 weeks. So it's just kind of nice to have silence during the day. And it makes it so much easier to read. Like, I tried reading stuff before while all this was going on, and it was just brutal. It was just hard to concentrate, and then by the time they were done, it was time to make supper, and then it was time to wind down for the night. It's just been kind of rough, so it's nice to have that sort of calm down. So I'll get through to read this, and if my opinions do change, I will be sure to make a video about it. But if you guys like this, let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on this series if you've been following it. Alright, up next is one that I am really a big fan of, and this is the Dungeons & Dragons Infernal Tide. So this is issue number 2, and I just absolutely love this series. Anything involving the Dritz character, he's just written so well in these comics that it's just a blast to read, and he really sort of takes center stage in this particular issue. I don't think they overdo him. You know, they tend to have a pretty decent mix. The series that they did before this, actually each issue focused on a different character or characters. But this one I'm really enjoying so far, and I'm pretty sure I said this when I got issue 1. But truthfully, I think that the way they introduce the story here and the way that they sort of go through it is more entertaining to me or more interesting to me than the way that it's done in the Descent to Avernus adventure. I don't know. There's just something about this that I'm really liking over that adventure, which is sort of interesting in concept, but just didn't quite do it for me. But this certainly does. So absolutely check out Infernal Tides as well as the other series that they've been doing. Like Evil at Baldur's Gate, I think was one of them. There was the Shadows of the Vampire, I think was another one, which is like the Curse of Strahd storyline. There's just these series of comics with these writers and these characters are just super well done. So definitely check that one out. All right, and then we have the next and the final comic related thing here. We have the Rick and Morty versus Dungeons and Dragons Chapter 2 Painscape. So this is the trade. This combines all 4 of the individual issues into one. And I know that I've picked up all of the individual comics, but I'm kind of that guy who will do that and then get the trades, especially if I know someone that will appreciate the comics themselves. So like I don't resell them. I just give them to someone that I know will appreciate them. So I have a friend who is a big Rick and Morty and D&D fan. So I just give the comics to him, and it's the comics come out I think once every couple of months. Like they're not that frequent. So to me, it's not a big deal, and I love having these trades, and it has like the cover gallery sort of in the back, which is awesome. And the Chapter 2 Painscape was probably, of the 2 that have come out, this one is easily my favorite. I really enjoy this one. I like the fact that, there's a really good story that runs through the whole series, whereas the first one was good, but the premise was like introducing Morty to Dungeons and Dragons, and it would sort of go through different phases. But this one here has sort of its own story, which involves like Rick's old discarded characters coming back to haunt him. So really awesome, and definitely check this out if you're a fan of either Rick and Morty or D&D, or both. It's just absolutely amazing comic series. I'm really loving this one. Check out the Chapter 1 as well. They're available in trades. They should be easy to come by. But like I said, of the 2, this is my absolute favorite of the 2. And you don't really need to have read the first chapter to enjoy this one. So if you are missing, or if you're unable to find the first one, don't let that necessarily stop you from getting this, because like I said, you don't really need that strong of a knowledge of the first series to understand and appreciate the second one. So excellent stuff there. All right, up next, and this might annoy some people, but I'm going to do it anyway. I picked up just a booster pack of the mystery boosters from Magic the Gathering. This is something I'm just going to hold on to and keep sealed. I have probably about 7 or 8 other sealed packs and some sealed commander decks, and it's just one of those things. I'm not really playing the game a whole lot right now. I did play it some over the holidays, but especially with everything that's going on right now, there's no real way for me to play the game. So this is something that I'm just going to hold on to this, and eventually I might open it up, or I might just keep it as a sealed product. I might end up trading it into a game store or something like that. I have no idea what I'm going to do with it. But right now, it's just something that I kind of like the idea behind it, and it was actually a pretty affordable price compared to some of their other specialty sets that they've done in the past. This was more in line with like the conspiracy sets in terms of how they priced it, versus like the master sets, which were in Canada, they were about $15 for a single pack, so this was, I think, about $1 more than the typical packs, maybe $1 or $2 more, but still it's really cool. It has a bunch of reprinted cards from previous sets, and you're guaranteed to get, like, I guess, one of the old original style card designs, as well as like a foil. I think there's supposed to be a foil card in every one, but anyway, really cool thing. I might pick up some more in the future and at least open a couple, and if I do that, I'll do that on video, but I do want to keep at least one pack sealed for the time being. All right, up next, a little while ago, I guess over the holidays, so it's been a few months now, but got really into and really enjoyed the Witcher TV series that was done on Netflix. Absolutely fantastic. Cannot wait for season two. But in the meantime, I wanted to pick up some stuff along the lines of like that show to get more versed in like the lore or the world itself, and I decided the way that I was going to do it was to get some of the novels. Right now I've only have one, but I wanted to start with the one that they kind of recommend starting with, and that is The Last Wish. So this is The Witcher, The Last Wish. It has the Netflix thing on there. This is a hardcover as well that was on sale. So the listed price here was $24.99 Canadian. I actually ended up getting it for $20, so they had it as about $5 off. So jumped on that opportunity because this was one that I've been looking for and trying to find, and then I do eventually want to move on to like sort of Destiny and then like Blood of Elves and go through all of those different series. I think they even have like this big compilation of them for $50, so that's something that I might look at some point in the very near future. Actually, I get paid for what is probably going to be my final paycheck. I'm at least temporarily. I left the job that I was at, which is only a few hours a week anyway. But with that final pay, assuming that postal services aren't disrupted, I might end up getting those other books just again to have some stuff to read to occupy my time. But I'm really enjoying this so far. I kind of got away from reading it for a while. I've only really spent well, not 2 days, but a few hours reading through it, and I'm already about halfway through, and I'm absolutely loving these stories. So really, really awesome stuff there. All right, so we are getting near the end here. Last few things. I have a couple of Call of Cthulhu related things to show off. I don't know if I had shown this in a previous video, but I did end up, I had some built up credit on DM's Guild and Drive Through RPG. So with that, at no cost to myself, including the shipping, which was great, I was able to get a copy of the 7th edition Call of Cthulhu Quick Start rules. So this is essentially very similar to the starter set in terms of like the rules that are provided here. I suspect this came out before that, and the PDF you can get 100% free. See when this was actually 2013. Yeah, so this definitely predates the starter set. But it has a lot of the same stuff that's in here, but it also has an adventure that's included. And it was just something that, you know, I wanted to get to try to fill out my 7th edition Call of Cthulhu collection. I'm still waiting to get my copy of the Investigator's Handbook. It was ordered through a local game store, but their distributor has to get it back in stock from the supplier. So I'm hoping that can be done, that can still be done, and things aren't going to be disrupted too badly. I don't know how things are going to go, so I might be waiting on that for a while. We'll see what happens with that. But anyway, really happy to have the 7th edition Quick Start rules. And just today, actually, are the last two pickups that I have here. So sticking with Call of Cthulhu, one of the local game stores in my area, actually several of them are not really open to walk-in business. Again, with trying to keep the potential for spreading of this COVID-19 really down to the bare minimum, but they are doing like e-transfer payments and delivery. So I got this sent to me today, paid for it today, got it sent to me today, and this is Pulp Cthulhu. This is compatible with the 7th edition rule set. And I haven't read through it too much yet, but it does look like it's one of those things that's meant to be a little bit more combat oriented, I guess, or to the point where your players have a better chance of surviving. I've actually run 2 different groups through a scenario that I made, and the scenario involved them getting attacked by a random number of serpent people. And in both cases, the combats ended pretty quickly. Although the second group was actually able to kill one of them. It's not that they had a ton of hit points. It's just they were like the missing, and just the rolls were not in their favor for those sessions. But it doesn't matter, because with Call of Cthulhu, even if you lose the scenario and your character seemingly dies, then you can always miraculously wake up sometime later, and that's what happened here. A little cliched, but it was my first scenario that I designed, and I have some ideas on where I kind of want to take certain things. It's kind of a shame that stuff's going to have to be put on hold for the time being, but it does give me opportunity to go through and read through these books and to design some future adventures. But yeah, so this was something that just seemed really interesting. It was kind of an impulse buy, but at the same time, I don't have a ton of funds coming in. But I also can't really go anywhere or do anything with them, so if I can order a few things to help pass the time, then I think that's going to be a good use of the funds. So anyway, there's that. And this takes place during the 1930s, actually, is the era that's sort of introduced in this one. All right, and then the last thing that we got was a pocket edition of the Pathfinder. This is for Pathfinder First Edition, but this is the Rise of the Rune Lords. And this was the very first Pathfinder adventure path to ever be released for the game. In fact, this was released before the Pathfinder rule set ever came out, like the finalized core rulebook and all that. Essentially, in 2007, Wizards of the Coast announced that they were going to be ending the publication of Dungeon Magazine and Dragon Magazine, which Paizo was doing. And with Dungeon Magazine in particular, they had built up a very strong following with people that really enjoyed their adventure paths, like the Shackled City, Age of Worms, and then Savage Tide. And it's just something that, when the magazines were ended, they had subscribers, they had people that were fans of theirs, and they wanted to keep going. So they had created the Pathfinder brand, which still used just the straight 3.5 open gaming license. But then they released their own rule sets. But in the meantime, they released some adventure paths that use just the straight 3.5 rules. This is based off of the hardcover anniversary edition that came out, I think it was 5 years later, which compiled everything into one hardcover book and updated it for the actual Pathfinder First Edition rule set. But this was an adventure path that I really, really wanted to get my hands on. I didn't have any game stores in my area around the time that the magazines were coming out, and I don't know if they were easily available unless you had the subscriptions. I can't remember exactly how that early stuff went. But this is something that I saw this at my local bookstore, and I wanted to get it right away. But I sort of held off, but I did end up picking it up online. So I went through the online sale and had it delivered. So I'm kind of glad that I decided to do that, because right around the time that I had ordered it was the time that a lot of stores started restricting their hours, and the bookstore that I would have gotten this from is actually, I think they're just full on closed right now. For the time being, as far as their physical stores are concerned, but they do have their online stuff still. So I might end up getting some more stuff from there. We'll see how that goes. And I just noticed, looking through the viewfinder, that the mat underneath here actually lines up really well with the image on the cover there, and that was not intentional. But it is kind of funny because if you look here, it just stops. But anyway. That was just kind of some interesting placement that I did not do intentionally. But this is something that, again, I'm really looking forward to, and I don't think it's going to be that difficult to convert from this to Pathfinder 2nd Edition, especially with the Game Mastery Guide out now, and I've been racking my brain trying to figure out what I'm going to design for a creature. Because there's just so many, when I try to think of something, it's well, that's already a pre-existing monster, but it might be interesting to try to update an NPC from this adventure path into Pathfinder Second Edition using the Game Mastery Guide. So we'll see how that goes. But a lot of the creatures are just a straight like forward. Even have like the same names, sort of things, as what we have in the Bestiary for Pathfinder Second Edition. So, like I said, I don't think it's going to be that difficult to convert overall, and I'm just really looking forward to getting this. So this is something that I have wanted to get for a very long time. Whenever I would find like used Adventure Path stuff traded into stores in my area, I'd always look through and hope that they had the Rune Lord stuff there, but they just never did. So this is one that I'm really looking forward to, and they are doing other pocket editions as well. So the next one that they're doing is Curse of the Crimson Throne, which Paizo actually had sent me the adventure card game product for that, the expansion with that storyline. So that's another one that I plan on getting as soon as possible, because I really want to read through that one as well. And I can't remember what all the adventure paths are, but at least for the first few, if they plan on doing like the first few of these in the pocket editions, I will absolutely pick them all up, just because adventure paths are something that I think Paizo has always done extremely well, and these are some of their earliest ones for like their new game that they were working on. So it's just kind of cool to see some of those adventures and how things have sort of progressed. So anyway, so those are my recent pickups. So beyond that, the one thing I want to sort of talk about is one of the things that I'm hoping to do over the course of at least the next couple of weeks is every 2 or 3 days, I would like to try to have like a ready-made encounter that I can just do a little write-up for, stat out the creatures, and I probably take pictures of like a battle map using the combat map book that was sent to me, and just have minis sort of set up on it and just mark out where like the players would kind of start from. But I think I might try to do at least a couple of those, because I think that might be kind of fun, and it's not as much pressure as trying to write whole adventures, because it's literally just a single encounter. So any type of encounter you can think of is something that you can just sort of put together. So that's something I'm kind of looking forward to trying out and to see how that goes. And one of the encounters, so the first one I'm probably going to do is likely going to be a pretty simple one with like highwaymen or bandits, just sort of blocking off a bridge that the characters need to cross, sort of thing. And just start with that and then move into some more complex stuff. But one of the encounters that I already have planned is going to be against a necromancer using one of the things that was in the Book of Wild Darkness for 4th edition, so the terrain that can sort of bolster undead and weaken living creatures. Because I think that might be sort of a fun scenario to try out. So anyway, I'm hoping to have the first one of those up in the next couple of days, and that's actually going to be on my Facebook page. So when I have one of those out, I will make a post about it on like the YouTube thing, because it does allow you to make posts. And there should be a link to click on in all of my video descriptions, and I'll be sure to include it when I post that it's available on the little YouTube thing. But that will be on my Facebook page under notes, where I already have some like pre-written adventures that I've sort of worked on over the years. Not that anything's particularly great or earth-shattering or anything like that. I'm not a professional game designer. I don't claim to be. But there were adventures that I ended up writing and running myself for the campaigns that I was going through. So it's something I do enjoy, and I think the encounters will be a lot of fun, especially if I could just use a pre-existing map and just take like an overhead picture of the map with the mini setup and go from there. So anyway, that's what I'm sort of hoping to do. And now that things are a little quieter in our area, there's like no construction going on like right outside of our walls, I think it's going to make it a lot easier to do that without just going mad or losing my concentration. So anyway, so that's basically my plans going forward for the next little bit. I will still be doing videos, of course, trying to get at least a couple out a week. The next video that I'm hoping to have out is actually going to be my review of The Show Must Go On, which is the first chapter of the second Pathfinder 2nd edition adventure path. and then I'll have my Explorer's Guide to Wildmont out hopefully by the end of this week as well. So anyway, I want to thank you guys very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know some of the things that you managed to pick up before all the quarantining and isolation stuff sort of kicked in. And just maybe let me know how you plan on trying to pass the time until things sort of get back to normal. Anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Take care.